What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Toxic Airwaves. This one was a blast. Skeef and I, we went for almost 2.5 hours on this one, and we had some pretty solid people joining us that stuck around the whole time. We had Mr. Sue, Phil Gibson contributing on the spaces, as well as, Young Lurk, Sovereign, business person, I forgot what his Twitter handle is, and a few others that were sticking around with us. Don Reddy in the comments coming through, as always. It was a blast, an absolute blast, and we got into it. Bitcoin is a slave revolt. We've all been slaves to the system. They own us. They tax all of our property. They tax our income. They tax literally everything we do, and they inflate the money supply, which is also a tax on stuff that we own, and it's insane, and we're over it. This is bullshit. But yeah, we had a couple technical difficulties. Our stream went down at one point, maybe about an hour in, and then came back on pretty shortly after, and I messed up the sound stuff right at the beginning, so we're going to jump in about 10 minutes into our conversation. And it was a blast. Hope you enjoy it. Before we start that, I just want to give a shout out to our imaginary sponsors for the episode. We had Dirtbags Bar in Tucson, Arizona, best place to meet your future ex-wife, and Topo Chico, which is the best drink that you will ever get, the best mineral water out there. It makes LaCroix and all the other crap look like what it is. It's just total crap. Go with Topo Chico. Anyways, let's get into this.
They'll get paid. It's what people on pensions are about to find out, which is that their income is indexed to CPI, and CPI is obviously complete bullshit. And you're gonna get your $4,000 a month or whatever it is. It just isn't gonna buy shit. And once that's happening, that kind of thing's happening in the military. This military, they've got very, very strict, there's no such thing as a 10% raise in the military. Everything's sorted out. This title gets this much, all that kind of stuff. And that stuff's all indexed to CPI type bullshit. And so once these people are like, well, I gave up, my freedom, I gave up my ability to do another job. Biden's telling me I got to get the vax because I'm in the military. I've got to think just at scale. There's just going to be, people are going to be done with it at some point, and not from a, moral crusader or anything like that, but just, dude, I can't feed my fucking family. What are you gonna, that's the stuff that gets to people. Most people, it will never be, oh, I disagree with the principles of what the government is doing and taxation's unethical or, steal, no, most people don't give a shit about any of that, but they care about not being able to buy anything they want, and they care about being broke, and they care about not being able to buy food for their kids.
Dude, yeah, food is getting crazy, and Topo Chico is expensive.
Yeah,
it blows my mind. It's like my favorite drink. And
well, hey man, that's why they're not paying you $1 million an episode.
Yeah. I mean, even with that, I wonder how many cases of Topo Chico I could get with $1 million. Probably not enough.
Yeah. Probably.
Can we make Topo Chico like the ultimate derivative for CPI?
That might be a good one.
I mean, anything's better than CPI itself.
I think bullets are a good measure for CPI.
Yeah. That's always my argument. So I really, we've, and thanks, Alex knows a lot more of the Libertarian Party here in Arizona than I do, but the people that I meet that are gold bugs or whatever, that's what I always go to is, you're stacking this for societal collapse. Fucking gold coins are not going to be money in a societal collapse. 9mm bullets are going to be money in a societal collapse. 5.56 rounds.
Your gold is going to be melted to make 9mm bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know when this infrastructure bill is going to get. I'm not too familiar with the whole process in Congress. Every once in a while I'll watch it. It could be a while.
Well, it's not going to get enacted until 2023.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's another thing is So Colin from Bitcoin Echo Chamber and Ben Prentice, they were talking about how they feel like we're in a hyperinflationary period right now, and I totally, believe in that. And people will freak out at that idea sometimes and say, no, we're not in hyperinflation because the interest rates are too low, and everything, all the raising costs we're seeing is supply chain stuff. But yeah, I just don't buy it. They're just printing so much money, and it's they're doing crazy things, like the Fed is buying treasury bonds. That's just bonkers. And
well, it's not only that, they're doing reverse repo, so they're giving them collateral to borrow against, but the reverse repo markets are like $1 trillion a week or some shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When we were talking about this afternoon, like I was saying, like I really would like to. I mean, I don't want to spend a lot of time with this person, but I would like to at least meet the person who like thinks all of this is fine. It's going to get paid for. It's just a bit of a rough patch. We just got to get through this. When a bad situation happens, you accumulate a little debt. But
that's
it's all
what
it's
they
all
said
going to work
last
out.
year.
I mean, I know, but it's like I really want to meet the person who has that mindset and just try to figure out what the fuck's going on. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's nothing, and they're just an NPC responding
people. Yeah, I think other than they're all NPCs. I'm just making assumptions, but even the people that are just like pushing pencils and work some job in government, they don't really know what's going on. I feel like, even though if they were trained to do whatever, they're just taking orders, and they think what they're doing in their lives is going to be fine, and they just have no idea. And there are no actual people that think that they're doing the right things. I feel, again, it's just an opinion, I feel that this is what the case is, and it's really just intellectual dishonesty and evil, because anyone that does have a say can't not know exactly what they are doing to keep it going. Now, they might be under like stress maybe to see how well they can keep swing the pendulum, or like pulling the strings to manage the economy, manage that counterparty risk, and I have another like long-term capital management or whatever. But still, like, I feel these people know exactly what they're fucking doing.
Dude, real quick, fun fact about long-term capital management. Do you know who was the only person on Wall Street that voted against that bailout? Probably not. So it was Dick Fold, who was the CEO of Lehman Brothers. And then, 20 years late, or no, it was late 90s, decade and a half later, something like that. What's the one company that they let go under during the financial crisis? It was Lehman Brothers. Like it's like whatever level of evil and just absolute just bullshit, like just getting themselves rich off of everybody. It's like however much I don't know, I'll speak for myself, however much I like despise these people, I'm constantly like that. I just learned a couple of weeks ago, like I'm constantly learning new ways of how fucked up these people are. And it's, you're talking about like normal people in the government, I don't get upset with somebody who's just like a middle, manager or clerk or whatever. Obviously, that's like saying, banks are terrible, so I'm going to go down to my local Chase branch and punch a teller. That doesn't make any sense. Like most people they're just collecting a paycheck and bouncing through life, and it just is what it is. But yeah.
Man, that beautiful irony though. So you said the guy's name was Dick.
Yeah,
Fold
Dick
or
Fold. Fold, Fould, not like the rewards card.
Fold.
Yeah. So Dick Fold voted against the bailout for
long-term capital management, and then
much of them like not bailing out Lehman later was like in spite of him? Like, had to take that motherfucker.
100%. They had a whole bunch of banks they could choose. They knew one of them had to go under, and everybody was like, oh, of course it's going to be Lehman Brothers. They were against the long-term capital management bailout. Yeah, of course. No, we're not going to let Bear Stearns go under. They played the game. We're not going to let.
Also, his name's Dick.
Yeah.
Not Dick.
Yeah. No, it's not a coincidence at all. No, it's just like, you think about like how petty, evil, and just tyrannical these people are. And they're playing with hundreds of billions of dollars of not their money, trillions of dollars. Now it's trillions. Back then it was hundreds of billions. And the other thing is, like, these are not like smart, competent people who would be wealthy on their own. Like, these are leeches on the system who, if there wasn't a quintillionaire system, like, these motherfuckers would be, I don't know. I was about to say like managing a fast food restaurant, but that is a terrible, terrible answer, because that's actually a real job. And that's like real work that actually contributes to society, unlike what these parasites do. And so they'd probably be homeless, or I don't know what they would be.
Working at the DMV.
Yeah, it's probably it. They'd be
taking a lot of satisfaction out of telling people they don't have the proper forms of ID.
Or being IRS agents or something like that. That's the one department that I make an exception for. I would never, ever have dinner with or even talk to a normal person who works at the IRS in any capacity. Yeah. I don't care if they're a frontline clerk. I would not get a drink with that person.
Well, I think.
What if I worked at the IRS?
That'd be a big problem. Not gonna lie.
I'd block you on Twitter. Yeah, just the post office.
That's
workers.
Right.
Hey, I know a pretty solid post office worker. He's a good Bitcoiner.
Nice.
Dude, the post office, like, shout out to them. They made a public release of like, yeah, this whole mandatory COVID thing is a strict violation of our rights in the Constitution. Like,
did they really?
Fucking came out. Yes.
Good for them.
Dave Smith read about it a week or two ago. It was amazing. Like, there's people that are, wards of the state or had to work for the state. They don't really know what the fuck's really going on, but they know when their freedoms are being stripped away. So
yeah,
that gave me a little hope.
Yeah.
Don says, or a TSA agent. That's
probably the best answer.
That is the best answer.
Yeah, Jamie, if it wasn't for the Federal Reserve System, Jamie Dimon would be that guy giving you shit for your mask not being over your nose as you're trying to go through security.
Every time I go through it, they always pat down my shoulder.
Really?
I'm like wearing a t-shirt. It's like, dude, do you think like, really? What could I be having on my shoulder? But I don't know. And I think, honestly, a lot of it's just conditioning with getting people used to just being cattle herded and touched.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. No, and that's what it was. I mean, it's a setup for a police state, because that's, they're slowly ratcheting it down. I mean, I don't know how conspiratorial we want to go, but I think the same people started this process with 9/11, and they're trying to finish it with COVID.
Well, these people, are eugenicists, for one.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very dangerous, slippery slope that is, in the way that they're doing it, evil. They want population control, so they want to be able to dictate who is able to, live or exist. And
What's up, Joe Dirte?
Good to have you in here, Joe. And yeah, I mean, they're just it's so sinister.
Yeah. Joe, get on Spaces and tell us why Alex Jones is a CIA plant. Yeah, it's on Tucson_Bitcoin Twitter if you're not on the Spaces.
Man, ain't that the truth?
I don't think he's a CIA plant. We can argue about it.
Okay, if he's not a CIA plant, he's at least just they take advantage of his stupidity and they amplify it to distract from actual truth. Because shit that he said, of course, is like true, and then he has all the Jonestown kooky bullshit that they just use because it's useful. And it's ironic that they, and man, I hate having to say they, but I have to. The state. What was I going to fucking say?
Look up a book called Behold a Pale Horse by a guy named Bill Cooper. He is basically. I think Alex Jones is mostly legit, but Bill Cooper is, just beyond legit. I don't know. Anyway, he was the intelligence community, but he wrote a really good book, and the book is like 30% documents.
Alex Jones equals Bill Hicks. That's my favorite.
He came on the scene shortly after Bill Hicks died.
My biggest problem with Alex Jones is I feel like there's really good journalists out there in that kind of line of work, diving into the conspiracies and stuff, and I feel like he just this is the problem with a lot of conspiracies, is they just throw out so much information that is just so out there and outlandish. It's hard to like decipher what is legitimate or not. And I think what people tend on doing is just going with whatever, confirms their, beliefs. And so I mean, he's done some things that I think have been pretty solid. And he's also, I don't have any real criticisms against him other than, it's unbearable to listen to his show because it's always trying to sell you some dumb supplement. But
that is correct. Alex Jones is a full-blown alcoholic. He's probably a cocaine addict too. He denies the cocaine, but it's anyway.
He's probably on whatever the Trump was on, like Sudafed or some kind of upper Adderall Vyvanse or some shit.
Well, yeah. A couple years ago, I talked to a guy who knew him personally, and this guy claimed Alex Jones does a fair amount of blow.
Wow. But what I was going to say is ironic how Alex Jones will come out with like good, like truth stuff, and then some of it's like truth or bullshit, conspiratorial, and then you have like, oh, they're turning the frogs gay. And so the media will just mock and amplify all the ludicrous things he comes out with to distract people from actual truth, finding the actual truth. But then it's ironic because at the same time, they're just like, oh, there's too much free information, and that turns into misinformation. But it's ironic just how like blowback theory and insurgence math works, or any problem in the world that when they inject themselves in, they make worse. That's exactly what they do. They're creating their own problem to cause just distortion of the truth in the public square, and to make people fight and work against each other, and to just cause like chaos.
Dude, people are going crazy right now. Like, there's just no good information out there, and like, even if you're a critical thinker, it's hard to decipher what's real. I mean, what it comes down to for me personally is like, I just don't do well with coercion.
Yeah.
And
oh, really? I like it. It's my kink.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Buy my shit.
I'm actually I'm very vanilla in the sheets for what it's worth.
Yeah. I've been reading The Most Dangerous Superstition. That's been my yard work companion over the last couple of days. And I've been enjoying it, but it's just really silly, this idea of authority, like that we're all just individuals and nobody has any sort of, I think this is something that's like kind of was beat into me as a kid, is this idea of authority, that these people like possess something special, that we need to look up to. And you look at these senators kind of squabbling back and forth, and they don't have anything. Malthusian theory. Yeah, it's a good question. So Malthusian trap was essentially this idea that the environment could only support up to a certain amount of people. And so if there was some sort of technological advance, it would only benefit the people so much before they all kind of ended up in poverty again. And I think that really changed as a result of the Industrial Revolution, and because of the specialization of labor, or whatever you call that. And I just don't think it's true. I think this idea that we're overpopulated is ridiculous. I think there's like a lot of truth in the idea that we can live a lot more sustainably. And a big problem with that is the fiat monetary system. Kelly Lannon does some great work writing about that in regards to city planning.
You just suburban living.
You just had him on the podcast. That was a pretty solid episode.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, it was a good one. But no, the whole thing that too many people on the planet, and the Industrial Revolution and technology will just like make it worse eventually is complete bullshit. Because this is what the Bitcoin miners like Harry Sudok talked about, is that if you have energy density, then that just leads to prosperity. And if you have more energy, that just creates this opportunity to be more efficient and doing more with less, because technology is deflationary and it just makes things cheaper and production goes up. And you know, like what you said, throw in the specialization of labor, things are just better because markets work unfucked with, untampered with. And that's why Bitcoin works, because it's hard money you can't fuck with. Like, I'm re-listening to Jason Williams's book for like the third time, because it's so well done. It covers everything about Bitcoin, all the FUD, what it is, how it works, the investment thesis for hedge funds and just people like that, and gives you the history of money and the future of Bitcoin. It's so great. But like Bitcoin is working because it's a free, untampered with market, it's open, and it is just a spurring innovation for everything and everyone. And it's just, I want to say that it's dense energy. I don't really know what that means when it applied to Bitcoin, but the mining facilities, of course, are taking advantage of dense energy, or trying to get as much energy for as little as possible. And that an operation like that is just a manifestation of what energy dense areas will be able to do, because it causes people to think and make appropriate economic decisions that make sense for them. And I don't know where that really comes from, but that's an interesting thesis you laid out. I mean, not that it's yours, but I'm interested where you heard that argument that energy density, or like the industrialization, may work for a while, but then people will eventually be impoverished. That's interesting.
Well, this was a reality prior to the Industrial Revolution, is what I was saying. So that when they had the division of labor, that's when things really started, picking up, and we could support these massive populations, and you didn't need 70% of the population farming to produce food anymore.
Oh my God, that reminds me. So the episode I released today with Alex Vetsky, it was called "Bitcoin is Fire," and it's exactly Bitcoin is fire for exactly the reason that you bring up, is because before fire, as cavemen, we were fucking stupid. There was no division of labor, but then you have fire, and you have warmth and light, and you can cook, and just all this innovation. And from there, you have so this is what Sesky lays out, and I think he got this from Bitstein. I can't remember who it was, but he said that the top 3 innovations in the world will be fire, Bitcoin, and teleportation, because each of those are domino effects that are starting points for just great innovation and human prosperity. And so I guess that's how I can twist that in my argument that Bitcoin is dense energy, because it'll just spark so much innovation. And it's funny how you skip the internet: fire, Bitcoin, teleportation.
See, I think it's fire, electricity, and Bitcoin. I think those are the 3 key innovations humanity, and that's one of my favorite ways to try to somebody who just doesn't get Bitcoin at all. They saw it on CNBC or whatever, to try to get them to start to sort of understand, what the hell's actually going on, is to tell them and I say completely serious, obviously, that humanity's had 3 key innovations to date, fire, electricity, and now Bitcoin. And, they'll laugh, and, I've told some people oh, haha, that's a good joke. I'm like, no, I'm 100% serious. And I think that oversells fire and electricity, to be honest. It's the human flourishing that's going to be unleashed by what's going on now. And it's, electricity doesn't happen without fire. Bitcoin doesn't happen without electricity, which is the basic logic for why those 3.
I think my top 3 are ESG, the vaccine,
Oh yeah.
and democracy.
Yeah.
Those are the most revolutionary things.
I'm actually going to get my 4th booster later this month.
You're only on your 4th?
Yeah. Well, I was busy.
Dude.
I was busy volunteering for Greenpeace and yelling at oil manufacturers and stuff like that. So
I heard that they run out every 10 days. They lose their potency, so you got to really keep up with it.
Well, I got 2 different mRNA vaccines just because like I wanted to cover all my bases.
Mix and match.
Yeah,
they were telling people to do that in Canada.
So like a lot of people are buying fake vaccine passports and things like that. I'm actually buying fake IDs so that I can get multiple vaccines because they won't give the same person multiple vaccines because they're listening to right-wing media. And so what I do is I go on the dark web and actually buy fake IDs so that I can get multiple vaccines. So that's
hey, you're buying those fake IDs with Monero, right?
Well, no, I don't really
Pirate coin.
Yeah, I don't really like anything that it makes me uncomfortable to use money that's not backed by the government. So I just use my credit card.
Oh, I mean, Monero's a shitcoin, and shitcoins are all fiat essentially.
Yeah, just anything that's not backed by a government and a military really makes me uncomfortable.
I think
that's a good point.
I think like going off the idea of like shitcoins being fiat pretty much, I think that's like the biggest draw to them is the fact that they are centralized and have leaders of sorts.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Oh, most of these people would be Scientologists if they weren't, shilling Thorchain or whatever this bullshit is.
I mean, that's what sucked me into the shitcoins right off the bat, because it didn't require a ton of research to get into it. I just had somebody telling me things. And
right. And then, we're used to our bank deposits being FDIC insured. And then you have someone like BlockFi that looks like they offer banking services. And so just because they are a centralized entity, they have a little bit of trust. And then people are like, wait, I have all these shit coins on Coinbase. I can earn interest on it. But if they weren't going to BlockFi, they'd still be on Coinbase. So for them, like, it doesn't really matter. It's the same thing for them.
Dude.
Yeah.
You have a new Twitter handle every week. It's hard to keep up with you.
Who is that?
This is a new account.
Southwest Hodl.
Nice.
To Logical Logistics, who is now the sovereign small business.
All right.
Person.
I'm not confirming or denying that this was Logical Logistics.
Okay.
But I've been wanting to start a project similar to this, and then we just got fucked in the ass over the weekend, so wasn't really ready to do anything, but I just felt the need to do something. So new account, going to be giving out a weekly copy of The Sovereign Individual to anybody who retweets the required retweet. And then as the need develops, this project will increase. And the goal is to arm our communities with, we need to onboard our communities, our small businesses, our churches, anybody who we facilitate value transfers with, onboard them onto the Bitcoin network and protect them when the lockdowns come.
Yes.
So I think we're running out of time. When the surveillance coins are going to be here in 3 years, they're going to lock us down and fuck us in the ass until then. And I think if we don't fight back in these next 3 or 4 years, then we're going to need a new coin. We're going to need a new network because we're going to be fucked. Have you guys listened to Shinobi? He was going off on this. He was going off last week, but and this was before all the bullshit happened with the fucking infrastructure bill. But Shinobi was trying to make the point where he was trying to everyone was like, that's a bad way to onboard people. But what he was saying is, like, Shinobi just went full retard and was like, when you're onboarding someone, ask them if they're willing to shoot someone in the face to protect their Bitcoin.
Holy fuck.
Everyone was like, that's a little bit much, but that's where I'm at right now. If we're not willing to protect our Bitcoin and protect our communities, then we're fucked, and it's not worth participating in.
And my main issue with something like that would be like especially like that specific question exactly is I think pretty much any kind of physical violence outside of self-defense, I think just plays right into their hand and is playing their game by their rules. And I think, like when people are like, oh, we need to, and I think that's also a part of this, call your politician thing. It's like, no, that's more of playing the old game by the old rules and you're going to get the old results. Like if you just do, what's that dumb trite saying, like insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Like I think that's what a lot of that stuff is. And it's like people, like it's and like that. I did not see that out of Shinobi, but like that asking that question, like I think that kind of stuff. It's just I think it's just a strategic error.
So fucking dumb. It was like
but yeah, I'm
well, it's like what you were saying. Somebody was saying this earlier. It's like conditioning. They're like, we can help you. And then we call and they're like, oh, we tried, but don't you love us now?
But yeah, elaborate on because I'm with Don in the comments on, I don't see a future for a new coin or a new network. So I'm curious what you see
I think you meant Bitcoin, right?
No, if we don't have privacy on Bitcoin, then I'm saying we need privacy. Right now, we're like pseudonymous, but when the central bank digital currencies come, when the CBDCs come, they're going to rug pull cash. And if they have the back end for CBDC, like on chain or like surveillance, if that's not a thing right now, like that's because they don't have their CBDC. If they will develop CBDC surveillance in 4 years' time, then they will certainly have developed on-chain Bitcoin surveillance. And the private market's already doing this. So what's 2-3 more years of government-funded on-chain surveillance going to look like? If we don't have Bitcoin economies by then I think like you're fucked on-chain for privacy. You're fucked with the CBDC for privacy. You're fucked on cash. So I'm saying at that point, I don't have the answers. I don't know what the world's going to look like. I just know I don't want to live in that world. Yeah. So we have to fight now.
Bro.
Just
imagine where Lightning's going to be in 4 years. It's going to be insane.
That's not the response.
Imagine where Lightning's going to be in 6 months.
Yeah, but that's talking, tactics, and we should be talking strategy. And I think strategy's the big picture, which is we build economic power. That's how we change things. And so that's my big beef with like the Monero crowd, who I'm not generally opposed to. Like I have tons of values that overlap with them. I just, I don't know. We don't need to get into Monero one way or the other, but
it's fucking dumb.
But what I would say is like, first of all, like I don't see, privacy at the base layer. Like that's I don't know. That's an argument that's been beaten to death, but we cannot fuck with auditability of the supply. And then, but my main thing is we succeed by building economic power. It's like, and the example that I always use is if, we're sitting here in 2021, if somebody has 100 Bitcoin today, they're done. They're out. They don't give a fuck what the government says. They don't give a fuck what JP Morgan says. They don't care what Pfizer's, they're done. They're out. They can travel the world. They can go to a Caribbean island. They're opted out. They're done. They're free. Government doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, whatever. And that's today, and that's possible today. But you need a fuck ton of wealth and economic power to do it. And so my argument on that is, that number in a decade is going to be 10 million sats, 20 million sats. It's going to be a lot less. And it's like, as we build our economic power, more and more people are empowered to exit. More and more people are empowered to opt out. More and more people are building this parallel society. And then people can opt into it or not. And, personally, I take the view that 80% of the population, bare minimum, is completely retarded and just responding to stimuli, totally hopeless. It's like, they're like trees, basically. They're just kind of there existing, whatever. And that's like 80% minimum. It's probably easily 90 plus.
Depends where you live.
Yeah. And it's like, I think that, California is what, 99.8, something like that, probably. But I think that's how we succeed. And that's why I'm extremely optimistic. Like I don't have much pessimism about what even the medium term future looks like. Like I think this rocket ship just fucking takes off. And, I think, the, escape velocity. If it's not this cycle, it's it's certainly by 2032, certainly by that cycle, we'll see escape velocity. And that's where I think government becomes totally irrelevant. And so they can, come up with whatever surveillance strategies they want to come up with, but their ability to accumulate power and resources is trending towards zero. And I think it's about to start trending a lot faster.
Well, they could 6102 us, force us to buy all of our exchanges from KYC, force all liquidations to go to the government.
Tell me how they do that to somebody with 100 Bitcoin who's out, who's gone. Because that's my argument.
A person with 100 Bitcoin isn't the community. That person spending 100 Bitcoin doesn't even, if they spent that 100 Bitcoin in a community, it wouldn't even spread out to support the entire community. It doesn't take one person with 100 Bitcoin. It takes 100 people with 1 Bitcoin. That's how we get this change.
I'm saying, how do they fuck the guy with 100 Bitcoin? Because I don't think they can. And I think that number in 10 years
they fuck
is
everybody else who doesn't have it. It's about, right now we're like 100 million people. We're expected to get to 1 billion by 2025. We need to be focused on getting nodes into the hands of no coiners. Get coin into the hands of no coiners. I don't care about the person who has 100 BTC. I care about the church who needs my donation. Yeah. That's what we need to be supporting right now. But if they come to the nodes or the 6102 us, then
yeah. My point is that number in 10 years is 10 million sats or 5 million sats. It's much, much lower. And so that's going to be a gigantic population.
Here's
price rises when the network grows as well. I'm not worried about price. I'm worried about the network growth. If we don't grow the network, then the price doesn't grow.
But the growth of the network
power is what grows the network.
The growth of the network feeds up the price. It goes back and forth. But as Bitcoiners inside the network, we need to say fuck the price and grow the network.
Yeah, but the growth of the network grows the price and vice versa.
A million people running my node does shit for the overall mission, I think. I think it's people accumulating economic power so that individuals can tell the state to get fucked. It's not
people running nodes, it's businesses running nodes. Businesses running custodial nodes or non-custodial nodes on BTC Pay Server. Fuck AMC. If AMC uses OpenNode and not BTC Pay Server or something in-house, it's going to be fucking dumb.
Well, yeah, and this is the thing I'm getting really, really bullish on is the rate of inflation that's happening right now and how that's going to be pushing, people into Bitcoin. And this has been like a major, point of mine of what I'm hoping to do in Arizona is expand meetups into all the corners. And the thing I love about Bitcoin is it is kind of a bottom to top approach. And I think treating in that or like targeting society in a way like that, like the people that are getting left out and hurt the most right now are people in rural areas, people with, real jobs, people that don't have assets.
Live in the fiat economy.
Yeah, live in the fiat economy 100%, which is a lot of people in the area that I'm living in right now. And I am super, super bullish on, we're going to get out there and we're going to be doing this stuff. And I'm pretty stoked. Samurai is going to be working with our meetup. We've seen so many people run nodes recently, and Lightning, the Lightning network capacity is growing, exponentially, and that is incredibly bullish for me, to be watching. So I think like both of them are true. I also think this really is our one shot, but I think we're going to win it because these people in positions of power are just losing their minds right now. And like where we're at right now, it's like either Bitcoin or just complete destruction. Like houses have doubled in 5 years in Tucson. Food is up, an insane amount of money. And it doesn't matter how much stimulus they pass out. It's not going to cover, people's day-to-day lives, and people are going to be dissatisfied and they're going to be looking for just self-preservation. And Young Lurk says 6102 on Bitcoin will not happen because Bitcoin is an idea. But
it's important to look at how ridiculously neutered 6102 was even back then. And that's with a physical asset. Like they put FBI agents outside of banks to get people going to their safety deposit box and stuff like that. Like
that was pre-NSA, bro, pre-centralization and massive databases.
You think they're more empowered to do that stuff today than they were in the 30s?
I think that we're underestimating power. which might be saying something because I think we are well aware of how strong they can be.
See, because I would take the view, and I don't know. I hope I'm not being combative at all. I'm really, really enjoying this.
That's how we get truth.
Okay, yeah, just making sure. Yeah, that's interesting because I would take the view that it's like they had so many fewer choke points that they had to cut off back then than they do today. Like today, they literally have to kick in someone's closet to unplug their node or whatever. Like
right, but then they'd be like, "We fucking heard that conversation you were talking about with Tucson Bitcoin 2 years ago.
Yeah,
you fucking said you hid your seed plate." Back then, it'd be like, "We heard you might have a gold token. Would you like to exchange it?"
Yeah,
it's just different. My point is that like price brings people in, but we can support price in more than one way than hodling or selling information. I think we need to push for that next level. I want to go to my bar and say, I have so much Bitcoin. I want to fucking spend it in here. Like, let me help you.
Yes. One thing that I love to do at the meetups is tip the waiters, waitresses in Bitcoin as much as possible. Set them up.
Yeah, I think that's like that's what I'm doing every single time from now on. I don't care if my friends are like, "What again? Are you serious?" Like, no, the time has come to give Bitcoin to people who we want Bitcoin to. Put it in the hands of people and grow the network.
Yeah, another line I use on people. What's that?
I said I gave up on that. I tried that a couple times, and maybe I come off a little strong, but even sorry, I just got a text from my dad. Yeah, some people don't want to hear the spiel, and they're even so cucked that they're going to go and be like, I need to ask my manager first. And just the sad thing is people don't have balls. They're just
it's the mob.
Like they're afraid to click the envelope.
It's that minimum 80% of the population that's the mob. And in my opinion, should be interacted with in exactly the same way that you interact with a tree. Just fucking walk by, maybe look at it, maybe not, and that's about it. Like there's no conversation to be had with these people. There's no intellectual connection. There's often not a mind there. Like I could make an argument that there's no soul there. I mean, it just is what it is. Like it is not something that makes me happy or anything like that. But I really think like the mob has been irrelevant throughout all of history and will always be completely irrelevant. And so it's up to the people that actually understand what's going on to actually do something worthwhile and figure it out and change things.
I think
it's keeping up with the Joneses, corona vaccine booster style.
Yeah.
I think the economic incentives play into it. There's been a store that I go to on a pretty regular basis, and there's one guy that manages the counter, and I've been talking with him for months and months and months. And so where we started was he had bought a little bit of Bitcoin and Dogecoin on Robinhood. And over a period of about 6 months, I now have him, using Lightning pretty regularly and me tipping him. And I think when you have like 12, 20, 30 people that are willing to go into a restaurant on a regular basis and tip people in Bitcoin, they're not going to turn it down. When you're going to get 30 tips in Bitcoin from people that are really stoked on the idea of giving it, I think that's a really powerful force that I'm pretty stoked. That's what Brian Harrington does in California, and he's been very, very successful in on-ramping like 4 businesses to using BTC Pay. And
yeah, I think it is worth like it's just like meeting people, like dating. It's like every no or rejection is just another step closer to winning someone else over. And so it's worth the risk and time and investment, I guess, to at least like try and get people on, because it's all about having that intransigent minority. And yeah, I mean, that's the least we can do. Man, I keep going back and forth on this thing. It's really annoying because I'm annoyed at myself for getting too passionate and try to and fail at calmly explaining to people what Bitcoin is and getting them on. And I just like give super evangelical, and then I could be on the complete opposite of that spectrum and be totally chill and complacent and apathetic, be like, fucking you noob, like you'll figure it out eventually. Like Bitcoin's going to win. So, taking that Satoshi quote, like, I don't have time to explain it to you kind of thing. But at the same time, if things are going to get as shitty as we think they're going to get, then
things are already shitty, dude. They're fucked right now.
I mean, what fucking our boy Sovereign FB is.
No.
Can you tell me your first name, or am I going to have to make one up for you?
Just call him Sovereign.
Yeah, just call me Sovereign.
Sov it is.
Protect the NIMS.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he could give me a fake name.
Sovereign.
My fake name is Solve. Go ahead.
Fuck yeah, I win. I don't know.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have that?
So the approach I generally take is I generally lead with some kind of anarchist tirade, and this is how we end the state. This is how we empower individuals, and a surprising number of people respond to that. And I do that I think for two reasons. One, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to spend a bunch of time on somebody who is not going to ultimately add to the mission of ending human slavery. And then the other thing is I fully think, we're going to see just massive increases in economic power in Bitcoin. And I want that as much as possible to go to the people that have principles aligned with mine. And so if I tell somebody, this is the primary tool that we end the state once and for all, and they, their response is, oh, I don't know, that kind of makes me uncomfortable. I don't really like that goal. I'm like, good, bye. That's fine. Everybody has different views, but I want as much Bitcoin as possible to flow to as many people as possible with principles that I respect. And, if I turn off 300 left-wing lunatics, I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, my whole take on it is if I get rejected when I'm trying to, tell somebody about Bitcoin, it's not a reflection on me, and I don't take it personally. It's really not that big of a disappointment, because they're, hopefully it puts a little seed in their head to think about it, and they'll see the price and they'll have some ability to recognize it. But yeah, I totally agree with you about not trying to put too much energy into people that are just don't care whatsoever. But yeah, I don't think people get Bitcoin, overnight. Most people, it takes a lot of people learn slowly. I'm kind of a slow learner, when it comes to this stuff.
So
it took me a long time.
Speaking of learning, I just want to share my selfish story. So last Tuesday, after 15 years, I finally called my biological father, parents divorced, that kind of thing. And I just let bygones be bygones. And we talked for 3 hours. It turns out he's parent, but it's really cool. It's wow, genetics really are a thing.
Nice.
And I don't know. It's just so crazy. We're kind of different personalities, but just that we have the same interest just inherently, it's just crazy. And so the only people I've been able to convince Bitcoin on is people that kind of come from libertarian aspects, or maybe not even libertarian, but know who Ron Paul is and just don't want to hurt people and don't want to take their stuff and kind of thing. Another example is some kid that works in my gym. He's only a few years younger than me, but I got him to at least save the bullish case for Bitcoin to listen to. But I don't know. I've kind of been on cloud nine, just being able to actually rebuild a relationship with my dad, and especially that Bitcoin is in the picture. It's holy shit, Bitcoin fixes it.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Wanted to share.
Yeah, what an awesome story. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Young Lark says everyone comes in at their own price. And yeah, I 100% agree with that. Because I don't know. I actually have a text message from a buddy from high school who he said, "Hey, dude, you were telling me about," because I downloaded a little software and played with Bitcoin a little in 2012, but never got any, and just decided it was a waste of time and not going anywhere. And I thought it was just a techno utopian nonsense, and then just literally didn't even think of the word for years and years and years after, like just totally outside of my mind. I actually completely missed the 2017 bull run. Didn't even know it happened. Like it was just, that's how far off my radar it was. And then found it a little bit after that, like reading the Bitcoin Standard, you know, all that typical stuff. But yeah, no, and that's just all that to say, like, I'm a prime example of somebody who comes in at, you know, their own price. Another way to say it is the price you deserve. Like, I did not deserve the 2012 price. I didn't have the understanding. I wasn't set up. I wasn't, you know, I didn't have whatever it was that people that got it and held on to it from then. I didn't have that. And so I wasn't equipped to take advantage of the 2012 price. So I didn't, you know, and then, like I said, literally was completely outside of my frame of reference for years and years and years after. And, you know, it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, well, it is what it is. And that's part of the humility aspect of it is, you know, it's like, okay, well, I obviously fucked that up huge. And, you know, but I can't, you know, I can't time travel. I can't go back to 2012 and make a different decision, but I understand it today. So what I can do is make sure I, you know, take advantage of it as much as I possibly can from today on, you know, and then do the same thing tomorrow and the day after, etc. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I got in about the same time. I knew about the 2017 bull market because I listened to NPR and they were reporting on it.
Okay.
On my way to work. But yeah, I agree with that. I have a prediction. I predict that when Bitcoin hits around 200,000, some leftists are going to come out and say that it's super unfair, that the price is so high and that we need to suppress the price to allow other people to enter the market because it is the future money.
I will request that every single one of them get in a line and blow me. That's, I think, treating them with absolute mockery and disdain is the way.
Well, we could just tell them there's this really a lot cheaper version of Bitcoin called Bitcoin SV.
Yeah.
That's specially suited for them. It's a much fairer system than Bitcoin.
Which is even down in fiat terms. That's the most hilarious, you know, because Ethereum, you know, okay, it's up in fiat, you know, like, you know, it's you whatever dollars you put into Ethereum a couple of years ago, you technically have more dollars. It's obviously massively down in terms of Bitcoin, but that's the ones that are even down in fiat terms are especially hilarious to me.
But you're really underestimating all the innovation that's happening.
Oh, that's true.
In altcoins.
Well, because what people need to do, see, people are worried about transactions on the base layer. No, that's not where it's at. What you need to be able to do is store your kids' t-ball game on the blockchain so that it's secured for all that. That's why we need really, really big blocks.
Yeah,
is so that, or even better example, like if you get like a really, really good meal at, like, say, Carl's Jr. or something like that, and you need to take a picture of it and save that on the blockchain for forever. That's a really fantastic, I think, application of chain technology for sure.
Yeah,
not just like transact, you know, preserve your wealth, protect yourself from no, that's nonsense.
Yeah, I can't believe. So we're doing a what's it called? Block Size War book club, and Bitcoin XT suggested that I can't read the chat.
Right, Pelosi and Maxine Waters will be first in that line to blow you, Skeef.
No, I can't read it because it's so funny. I have to finish a thought.
Oh,
but yeah, Bitcoin XT apparently wanted to. Do you remember what year they wanted the 8 gigabyte block size at? It was like doubling every.
It was not that far. No, it was. I thought it was even more than. Oh no, you're right. 8,000 megabyte. Yeah, 8 gigabyte is what it would have topped out at. It was. Yeah, that was
maybe by 2036.
I think something like that. Yeah, so we've been doing or just started. Tucson's running Block Size Wars book club. So we did the first 3 chapters on Saturday, and that I had heard of Bitcoin XT, but I wasn't as familiar. Yeah, like I said, that was before my time of actually being involved seriously.
I mean, it's just kind of crazy to think about. What would you want to do with 8 gigabyte blocks?
Yeah, well, and it's just the thing that, you know, I mentioned this on Saturday. Like you talk about a community of, Bitcoiners or Bitcoin adjacent people who has the highest spook per capita rate, in my opinion, that's big blockers. Because it's like, I think the ones that are spooks, they understand how much of a security threat that is. And they understand, oh, we just, we need to make sure Amazon's the only one running nodes on AWS, just, cough, hint, hint, Ethereum. And that's then we control it. Then all we got to do is, we've already got Amazon under our thumb since forever. And so that, yeah, I don't know. And like that model of, or like that like skepticism that a normal person would run a node. Yeah, that's true.
Dude, the mempool's so nice right now.
Yeah. I mean, coin joining like a
month. Hey, I want to ask something. I got to go, but last question for me. You guys can say no. Have you gotten to that part in Block Size War where they talk about that email that came from Satoshi's email address in like 2016 or so?
Yeah.
Was that about Lightning?
No.
I'm just curious about it because no one seems to make reference to this email ever. So is it hung up on whether or not this truly came from Satoshi or what do you guys think about that? Or what do you know about that? I'm going to go to the audience.
So that's an interesting point. So the email essentially said that if they pushed through Bitcoin XT, that he would have to declare Bitcoin a failed project just because of, the way that they were going about it. And I think that summarizes it. I might have butchered it a little bit. But yeah, so it came from Satoshi's email. So the thoughts on it was that it was either Satoshi sending it, his email was hacked, or, the email administrators. I think it was like
Vistomail, Satoshi at Vistomail,
Vistaprint or something like that. And I think regardless of whether it was real or not, I think the email was, correct in what it said.
Yeah.
I think my thinking is that it very well could have been hacked. I guess one of Satoshi's emails prior had been hacked. So there's not really any knowing, but yeah, I mean, my whole thing with the block size wars is, whether or not Satoshi, came out either way, I don't think it, really mattered because the network, is run by, all the individuals, like everybody, all the node operators and, miners and, everybody, it's decentralized and it's not dependent on one person, even if that person's the creator. So that's just my take on it personally.
And not having a leader is one of the absolute bedrock values of the whole thing. And
yeah,
so that, I mean, obviously, was it Phil Champagne, I think? Anyway, there's a book on Kindle that's like $2. It's like the writings of Satoshi or something like that. And it's this guy, I'm pretty sure the name is Phil Champagne. But basically he put together a whole bunch of Satoshi's writings from, I think it's actually most of what's publicly available. And it's mostly just Satoshi's writings and then him providing a little commentary here and there. But and so anyway, I just say, like, I love that book. Like, I love understanding, his thought process, what he was going for. But at the same time, by the time he exited, he played the role that he was going to play for Bitcoin, I think it was most likely alien intelligence, but we don't need to get into that. Nice. The entity played the role that it was going to play and then exited for a reason. And it's like, created this, this, I don't know what you would call, like, organism almost, that is going to grow into what it grows into. And obviously 1 megabyte blocks is a big part of that.
I had a big blocker recently try to tell me that because Bitcoin didn't increase the block size, it was co-opted. And I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, so it was co-opted because pretty much everybody didn't agree with Gavin and Mike Hearn. Okay.
Well, and I say the spook per capita thing because it's such a critical security feature, and you don't have to be a genius to think through, okay, bigger blocks means much more bandwidth, much more storage, much more expense with running a node. Even bigger blocks means that gets more and more. And it's like you can draw a straight line. It's not terribly difficult to a point where they only run in big giant data centers. And then it's the state censorship resistant thing is gone now. You know, that's where, you know, if they can shut down a couple of companies, I mean, they obviously have no reservations about that and don't even have much difficulty doing it. And so I say that because it's like the people, I mean, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people who are just not too bright and just didn't understand it. But there's the people that were pulling the string. Like I have a really hard time seeing how like a really, really competent, intelligent, technical person could, I don't know, could do that without, you know, a decent chance at being a malicious actor.
Yeah. And like all of the suggestions today, you know, from people that criticize Bitcoin, you know, for not having big blocks, then go on to shill some shitty centralized project.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. And it's the basic logic is, and I had this conversation a while ago with the guy who his primary argument was, I had an account on Bitcoin Talk in 2013, so you're a moron because I've been around a long time. I'm like, all right, fine. But it's like, you know, I just said like it's you know, it's the classic answer of it's a linear solution to an exponential problem. Like that's not your thinking is totally off if you're trying to find linear solutions to exponential problems. Like we don't need, you know, an 8x improvement. We need a, you know, over the next decade, what, 10 million x improvement, something like that.
Kind of going off of that, anybody that presents an argument like that is a complete moron. You know, because they're essentially saying it's not about whether they're right or have more, you know, a better argument or more thorough knowledge. It's just like, I have authority because I, you know, did this or was a part of it at this time. And that's just really, really stupid. Yeah. I mean, there's people that know more about Bitcoin than I do, you know, that have gotten in it in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
That have been in it a lot. It's like time doesn't matter. It's about competency.
I like to make it clear to those people that I came in after the last bull run and that I don't give a fuck if they're like, oh, well, I don't care. Like it is what it is. I can't change the past. I'm not going to lie to you, you know?
Yeah.
You know,
it's so dumb.
Yeah.
It's that fiat mindset of like,
yeah,
I'm in a position of authority. Yeah. I deserve this.
Yeah. So, but I do have a ton of respect. Like people who bought way before me and held on to it, I have just a fuck ton of respect for that. And those are people that I pay very close attention to because, like I said, I said earlier, I did not deserve those 2012 prices, but there are people out there who did, and I want to learn from those people. I want to understand, you know, what did they have at the time that I did not have, and you know, how can I develop that now? Yeah,
I mean, this whole idea of like deserving it. I mean, anybody that gets into Bitcoin at any point in history, it is so much. It's a superior form of money that's going to benefit you. I mean, just like if we think about it, you know, if it hits, if we get a critical mass of people using it and it stabilizes in price, you have a form of money that isn't being manipulated and devalued by fiat currency, and that's going to be a billion times better, you know, than the fiat currencies that we have today or the CBDCs. And so, you know, the price going up and getting rich is great, but you know what this is this is the slave revolt. This is people that are tired of being taken advantage of, from being stolen, from having property rights just completely demolished, having people telling you to wear, you know, masks and get felt up at the airports and all of that bullshit. Like we're done with it, and we're exiting the system, and we're taking their source of power away from them, and it's over.
And we're empowered to exit. You know, we're not. You know, because libertarians have been yelling about this stuff for decades, and until very recently, in the grand scheme of history, we've not really been empowered in a meaningful way to do that.
We're not sitting on our asses and whining anymore.
Yeah, I mean, previously, if you wanted to exit, you'd be one of those guys out in public land up by the Grand Canyon. You know, just throw a trailer out in the middle of the desert. And you're like, fuck it, I don't do money anymore. You know, or I don't Certainly, those guys certainly don't have banking. They
Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't filed a tax return ever, probably. They're opted out. They're out there. And it's like before I found Bitcoin, that was my plan for exit society.
Me too.
I thought, I'm gonna build up enough resources or whatever so that I can get a little bit of something and just be out and just be done, and just be away from all this bullshit. Like I don't need, any of that noise. And then I found Bitcoin and I was like, oh, this is way better.
I wanted a self-sustainable bunker. That was my thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Shout out to bunkers. That's it. I know we've talked about this before, but all the Bitcoiners looking at Zillow are thinking way too small. You need to be thinking about buying shit that's currently classified by the federal government, not some McMansion with a pool and a hot tub or bullshit like that.
Yeah, I guess I've been setting the bar low. I would like Area 51.
Yeah.
I feel like Groom Lake would be a ton of fun.
Within our lifetime, we're going to go water ski on Groom Lake. Guarantee it.
It's a dry.
Oh.
It's not it's
All
like a dry lake.
All right, we're going to do whatever you do on a dry lake.
Land airplanes. Drive Maseratis.
Why they call it a lake if there's no water?
It's a dry lake.
Oh.
It's like this big, if you look at it from satellite imagery, it's like this big white, like salty
Interesting
thing. I don't know if it's salt or hardened rock or sands or something like that, but
well, after the end of the American Empire, it'll be for sale. We'll put a cabin out there.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm super bullish on the future. I'm super bullish on the Arizona Bitcoin scene.
Hell yeah.
Bullish on the chat and spaces tonight. This is great.
Yeah.
Had some lively.
Bullish on going out in the desert to shoot guns. That was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. Hopefully it's not so hot in the future when we do that, but
can you swim in a dry lake? You could probably roll around in the dirt.
I have so much money at that point that you can just flood it with water. You can just import water. You can import an ocean.
Like, could you fill that up with Dasani?
Well, this is the thing that, I remember being in school and being taught that so many different revolutions and technology came from the U.S. military and from NASA.
That's bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, have you, the 3D gun printing community is just, a bunch of like hobbyists, and people that are just hardcore doing this thing for fun. And like they went from the Liberator to the FGC9 to all sorts of stuff. I mean, watching Control Pew's Twitter is just so much fun. And I mean, you just have
people. What restrictions did they put on the file sharing?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I know they got, like, the original way that they tried to get Cody Wilson was they said you can't he just had them up for free. They said you can't give them away, or you can't just give away these files, just let anybody download it. And so what he did is he said they created a thing where they said we're gonna sell these files at name your price, and the little sliding scale had 0 as a price. So if somebody wanted to, they could set it at 0 and download it, and then later it was, they had an automated, I think it was Cody, it might've been somebody else. It was either Cody or somebody else in the 3D space had an automated way to, if you send an email, it automatically emails you back with the file. And so it's like, what are they're going to ban sending emails? It's like, they're just, that's like the, this idea that technology is what guarantees rights, and it's like, no, there's so many ways. And, the scale to which Bitcoin empowers that kind of stuff is pretty incredible.
Yeah, they're everywhere. I don't think DefCAD has them up right now from what I was seeing the last couple of days, but they're on Odyssey library shitcoin platform, but they're there. Some people post them on GitHub. So you might have to do some digging, but they're there.
And I absolutely love the approach that Cody Wilson takes when he talks to journalists. Like, if you watch his interviews, you'll hear him do a whole bunch of different versions of, the idea is basically we're having this conversation so that you can be a little bit more informed about what is already going on. There's no discussion about your approval. There's no discussion about your input on what I'm doing. There's no, which in my opinion is that's the correct interaction that we should have with the state and the people that support it is, if we're going to have a conversation, it's going to be about me providing you some information so that you can be slightly more informed and slightly less ignorant. There's not going to be any discussion of what you think about my principles or my values, because what I would say is like, you don't have a mind, you don't have the ability or the interest in interacting with reality. And so I have no interest in anything coming from you, but I'm happy to help you be slightly more informed if that's something that you're interested in. And they're like, well, how do you justify? No, we're not having that conversation. We're done. And I don't know, just to like make it very, very clear, that these people have absolutely nothing to contribute and absolutely nothing to contribute to the conversation. And if they want to learn a little bit, that's fine. But anything beyond that, I think is a gigantic waste of energy.
I'm not quite there where I have that level of, I don't know if animosity is a good word towards those people, but I kind of get where you're coming from.
Yeah. I think I don't know. Like, I really mean, like, I think the tree example is good. Like, I generally treat those people like tree. Like, I don't, it's just, they're just there, they're just standing there. They're, trees are consuming sunlight, they're consuming water, and they're growing. They're living in their environment. They're responding to stimuli, things like that. And I don't know, that or like another example, like, I don't know, like I tell people, like, I generally, like, I think I've said this on here before, but like also like think about it in the ways of like treating people, like dogs. Like, I'm nice to dogs. I feed them. I'll pet them, I'll play with them or whatever, but I'm not going to ask a dog for its opinion on, whether or not I should own a certain firearm or, whether Bitcoin should be legal or something like that.
I didn't realize that Lurk had thrown that question up there. I thought you were legitimately asking me if you could swim in a dry lake.
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of like,
I did not. Damn, for it. Yeah.
We have dry rivers in Tucson that you can swim in occasionally if you want to die.
Yeah.
They're like dry one moment and then like sweeping cars away the next moment. It's insane.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Drive along, if you're ever in Tucson, drive along River Road. There's a Rito River. It's like just a giant wash that, will be dry sometimes for probably years at a time. And then 2-3 weeks ago,
it was crazy.
Was like really flowing.
Yeah.
Maybe 3. Is it within the last month?
It was like wider than the Chicago River where I grew up.
Oh, wow.
Which is.
Yeah. So this goes from basically a giant line of dirt to, something that will, drown you in 13 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And there's videos online. It's a total side topic, but there's videos online of where you can actually watch the water flowing down, and it's like bone dry, or maybe got rained on a little, and then you see this giant wall of water just coming down. It's pretty badass.
Dude, we have some nice lakes out here, Lurk. Well, I wouldn't call them nice. There's a bunch of, you can go swimming if you want to, but.
And while you're in Southern Arizona, go down to Dirtbags Bar. Best place to meet your future ex-wife. That's a guarantee from, from me at least. I won't speak for everybody, but
maybe we could do a segment, kind of going off of what our friend Sovereign was talking about highlighting businesses that are sovereign.
Yeah.
So Viva Coffee, that's a good one.
Yeah.
The post office.
The post office. Well, you know what? Maybe not the post office, but the post office union.
Yeah, so that was their union that said fuck masks and all that, or vaccines and shit.
I feel like there was another one that did it too.
Yeah.
Definitely not the teachers unions.
Yeah.
Those guys are the worst.
That's not a business.
Homeschool you.
Dude, a union is a total business. It's a business of ripping people off.
It's a business of extortion.
We support churches too, and they're not businesses; they're institutions. But
yeah. I mean, if there's a church out there that's sovereign, that's accepting Bitcoin, that's not willing to just be ran over.
Saint_BTC on Twitter. He was tweeting out some stuff a while ago about getting he got his church set up with accepting Bitcoin donations and like they accept Bitcoin donate and they hold it, they don't flip it for fiat, that kind of stuff. Like that was Yeah, I forget how long ago it was. It was, yeah, I've been banned twice since then, but yeah, that's, check out him on Twitter. He's got some, I know it's a big thing that he's into, so I'm sure he would tell you all about it if you ask him.
Yeah, kind of on that topic, there's going to be a protest tomorrow in downtown Tucson. I'm not really I'm not really advocating for it. I'm just stating that it's happening if anybody's interested. But they're trying to mandate vaccines for all medical personnel in Tucson. So that means that even if you're like a private office, or there's a chiropractor I know that's in danger of losing his license if he doesn't get vaccinated. So
you can't.
Hey, I want to run something by y'all.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is it streaming on YouTube as well, or just Periscope?
YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope.
I couldn't find it. I'm on the Tucson thing, and I thought I would see a live video.
Oh, go to Toxic Airways.
Oh, that would make sense. But anyway, so
is their stream down?
I don't know. No, I went to the Tucson Bitcoin channel. That was just the wrong channel.
My dashboard's like saying we're down on all platforms.
Oh shit! Oh no, you're live.
Oh, okay. My dashboard's down. We went down at some point, like early on, and I thought
my dashboard's. Oh man, I cannot deal with the lag. Oh well.
Yeah, the lag's pretty brutal.
It's okay. Anyway, so, and I think I pissed off some Bitcoiners, to be honest. But I wanted to run it by you guys.
That's fine. I've done that before.
Right. So on Saturday, I think it was. Yeah. Saturday, I was in spaces with Ozzy. Y'all know Ozzy?
Yes.
She's cool. She's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Loud Scale, or I don't know, people like that were in some spaces. And maybe I brought it up or someone brought it up, like the whole vaccine thing. And I wanted to share or I think it was just like unsolicited. And I wanted to share my experience with COVID because I got COVID like 2 weeks plus ago. And I just wanted to share like how liberating it was to take matters into my own hands when it comes to like medical shit, and to just, because I heard other Bitcoiners use ivermectin, they felt great, and that's like what I did. And I was able to use an app and download it, but I thought it was strange because apparently that app is good at documenting your medical records. And when I went to the doctor to get a refill on my prescription, because you need to go in physically for Schedule 1 shit, whatever, it's stupid. But my doctor pulled up on my records. Well, first, the nurse noticed the ivermectin, and it was just so crazy. It was like, so I see that you're on ivermectin, but what is that? I'm just like, holy fuck, this bitch has no idea. And then I was like, oh yeah, I took that, I wasn't doing well. And then she's like, for COVID? I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, oh, how are you feeling now? I'm like, I feel great. And then she was like, have you gotten the vaccine or did you decline? And then I'm like, decline. And it was just so empowering to like say that. And then my doctor comes in and she's like, same kind of conversation. And it was just like this emptiness on their face to notice that I basically made them obsolete. Okay. And I was getting shit from some of the Bitcoiners because they were like, wow, Phil, you really shouldn't be playing doctor by yourself. And I'm like, well, when it comes to COVID, nobody knows what the fuck is really going on. So, I mean, as Bitcoiners, I can assume that you guys don't trust a lot of your institutions. What the fuck makes you think I want to trust my own doctor with COVID shit? Mm-hmm. And yeah, maybe I should probably find a new doctor. I've been meaning to, and she's nice and everything, but still,
yeah,
I think I did the most responsible thing I could, and I don't want to inject something into my body that is questionable. and even after the fact, people are still getting COVID after they're vaccinated. And so I just thought it was really strange. Like, maybe someone was like a nurse and they were offended from what I said in that spaces, but it was just very surprising to hear that from Bitcoiners.
Well,
Like,
a lot
they
of them,
almost felt triggered, and it was odd.
a lot of them are not on board with like actually being sovereign. I mean, that's why so many people leave their coin on exchange. That's, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like a lot of people.
No, dude, these are plebs. Like Bitcoin plebs.
But I mean, like even if they self custody, like there's a lot of people that are just not on board with being fully sovereign. Like I got pushed back one time a while ago just because like basically like I was like kind of going on this, this mob tirade like I was earlier. And, like the example I used was concealed carry. I said, you have a state like Arizona where anyone with a pulse can carry a firearm, yet most people do not. I don't know what the numbers are exactly, obviously, but most people do not, certainly over 50%. And so it's like, you're talking about like what that tells me is that a very significant portion of the population has, no interest in personal sovereignty, like is not willing to take the most basic, accessible, defensive technology there is really probably on the planet. Like just as far as like low hanging fruit. I mean, you can walk into Sportsman's Warehouse, spend $200. In Arizona, it's about as hard to buy a gun as it is to buy a 6-pack of beer.
Buy it from one of your friends.
Yeah, buy it from one of your friends. Yeah, and that's. But even there, it's like, okay, you got to source it, you got to find it, whatever. Like literally anybody can drive their car or walk into a store, swipe their credit card, and walk out with a firearm. And learn how, spend a couple $100, learn how to use it, and hopefully do like some training and things and all that. But it's like, that's such a basic, and I, like I said, I don't care, if somebody says, I just don't want to carry, you know what, it's none of my business whether somebody else does or not. But the fact that the vast majority of the population in an area, I shouldn't say vast, majority of the population in an area where it's easily accessible, obviously totally different equation in New York or wherever, all those communist hellholes, but in Arizona, at least, it's totally accessible. And yet most people don't. And what that tells me is most people don't value a very basic level of sovereignty. So anyway, I was making that point. I got a whole bunch of pushback because they're like, oh, well, you're just a gun nut. Like, you think everybody needs a gun. You're trying to tell everybody to walk around with a gun. I'm like, yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'm totally fine with that. I do think as many people as possible should carry a firearm. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, okay, if you don't want to carry a gun for whatever reason, it's none of my business. You don't have to explain yourself to me. Like, you make your personal decisions, I'll make mine, and we'll all be happy. But
yeah, man, but
like that pushback,
like,
it's because a lot of people just don't value the sovereignty. But I think that's anyway, that's a long-winded way to say I think the core issue is a lot of people really haven't taken sovereignty seriously, and maybe never will.
Yeah, I definitely.
Yeah, I get that, but the thing is that this is deeper. I guess it's just different, but it's still scary that even amongst Bitcoiners, the vaccine of all things, like, I guess guns are one thing, but like actually untested, unapproved shit. I mean, I saw a headline today that just today that Big Pharma is going to get like an approval for the vaccine. Like,
that's insane.
Finally, like USDA, CDC approval for a vaccine. And it's like, there was no finally in there, but it was like implied. And it's just crazy how even among Bitcoiners, the state and their propaganda is able to tear them apart from each other on things that they should be aligned with.
Dude. Yeah, like on this topic, like my immediate reaction when you were on the stream a few weeks ago and you were talking about ivermectin was kind of pushback. But I mean, the more I think about it, like I worked in the behavioral health social work field for years, for like 7 years. And I saw just like the craziest stuff with people getting pushed all of these psychotropic meds and, getting put on Ativan, and like the nurses just like handing out benzos like they're candy, you know, because a patient's being difficult, they just give them a benzo, which is like one of the most addictive and destructive drugs out there.
So we got Jordan Peterson,
Yeah, but
right?
like
Yeah.
ivermectin is like a generic, like safe fucking
Well-
thing.
Well, where I'm going with this is like that's the medical field, you know, and that's like the bleeding edge of psychology, you know, and psychiatry right now is they're doing these things. Like you go back and they used to lobotomize people, and they used to, you know, do all of these crazy things. And I think that it kind of goes back again to this idea of authority, of it all just being a joke. Like the academies are bastions of the state, you know, and some of these people that go, like doctors that have been in school for 8 years, have just been inundated with, you know, propaganda. And I'm not saying that it's wrong, but I think we have to admit that it's limited, and these people don't realize that what they're doing is limited. They think that it's like the end all be all, they have all the answers, and to be an educated consumer on those products is huge. So to be sovereign in that, I mean, like most people go in and they just have no idea. I watched my dad go through this with pancreatic cancer, you know, and chemotherapy, and it was just awful. It's like you're just gonna have a miserable. For him, it's like you have a disease that you know that you're almost certain to die from, and you're just gonna have a miserable last few years of your life, and just pay tons and tons of money when there's really like no hope. And I think that kind of like informs it. So yeah, kind of going back, it's interesting that you're taking this standpoint, and it comes down to personal sovereignty and self responsibility. You know, to be educated and not just trust an authority because they're an authority.
Yeah. And it's yeah.
So I was not in the wrong of what I
think
did.
so. No, I would. Yeah, I find it very odd that you got that
Dude.
pushback.
I mean, so many people play doctor, and I think it's because they've had trust broken.
Yeah.
You know,
I haven't been to a doc. I used to. Anyway, never mind. I was about to doc something, which I'm not going to. But anyway, I don't go to the doctor. Haven't been in many years.
I don't like to go. I think it's stupid.
I don't like to go to the dentist, but I don't know.
Yeah, I have a really
That's
nice
different.
I have a really nice dentist. I don't. Yeah, to me, that's a totally dentist and like LASIK eye surgery, like stuff that's like way more free market. You know, shocker, is surprisingly less terrible than these, you know, Medicare
Hey man,
factories.
that doesn't mean that you still don't have a deductible.
Yeah,
Those aren't going away. But no, yeah, it's
And
in dentistry too. Like if your dental health is not well, then I mean your whole body is connected. It's one system. So if you know, having poor dental health can like affect like cardiovascular shit and like everything.
well,
But
if you got stinky breath, you know, there's no way you're getting dates. You know, you got to think about the important stuff.
I think one of, like, kind of going back to it, I think it's really hard specifically with medical information to do your own research because it just how many conflicting things are out there. I think that's just science in general. But it's just like mind numbing because I've tried to wrap my mind around what's happening right now with the vax and with COVID. And you just have like polar opposite. Like, first of all, it's pretty safe to assume the CDC is full of shit and the WHO is full of shit. And it's just like not even relatively close to accurate. But like if you're right now, for example, if you're trying to figure out whether or not like the vaccine is effective, it's hard to find any sort of real data to make a good decision or to actually see if, you know, these adverse reactions are, you know, really legitimate and widespread. It's so hard outside of just anecdotal evidence. And I think it's just, I think it's incredibly difficult to do that right now. But I mean, it's just crazy. Like if you have a treatment that works for this thing and they're just totally pushing it off for God knows why, like,
yeah,
it's,
if you really want to upset like super blue pilled vaccinated people, tell them that you're avoiding vaccinated people, but you know, like, cause you know, there's been different like there was some breakout. I forget where. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't even matter if the numbers are accurate. But it's like, even just make something up. Who cares? Like, oh, yeah, I was reading about this breakout in Massachusetts where 75% of the people that, you know, that got and spread COVID had the vaccine. So I'm just avoiding vaccinated people to be safe. You know, just like give them just stupid stuff like that. Or
there was a story about that coming out of Israel recently.
Yeah. Well, there's countries, I think that might be like Gibraltar's one country. Like I think Iceland, I was reading like 90-something% of the population over 16 is vaccinated, and they're having all these like massive breakouts of COVID and stuff like that. I don't know. Like I said, like I was saying at the beginning, like I really want to meet the person that takes all this stuff serious, because I just think it'd be fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, Lurk.
Oh,
that's my aunt. I hung out with her this weekend, bro, and it's weird, man. It's uncomfortable. Like people that like are actually like pro like forcing people to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. Especially when they're like good people that you love. It's like, fuck.
Well, it's such a dumb argument, because this disease is endemic. It's not going anywhere. It's like the flu. Like the flu vax, talking with a doctor friend, and I'm going to trust him on this one, but again, it's just referring to authority. It's just, but he was saying the flu vax is only like 50% effective. And, you know, the idea that the COVID vax could be 99% effective is just ludicrous.
Yeah.
It's just total bullshit. But even if it, you know, was like comparable to the flu vax, this disease is not going away. That idea is just such an unrealistic expectation, and it's just insanity that anybody has this, that we can get rid of COVID like we can get rid of polio. It's just not reasonable.
And it's nowhere near as bad as polio.
Established. Oh, my bad.
No, go ahead.
It's just so well established of like antibiotic resistance. Like if you take something biological and you try to kill just the strongest of the bunch or whatever, you're going to get the variants that survive that are the ones that are going to multiply. So it's just going to be vaccine resistant strains that are going to pop up in hospitals, and like, I don't know.
And it's
like, yeah,
I just think all this stuff is just so many reasons why, you know, we just cannot engage with these people as thinking individuals. Like I don't know. Like I think that approach.
They're not, dude.
Yeah, like that's.
I think like, talking pieces of the mainstream media. Like when I was talking to my aunt this weekend, it's like literally like she just watches CNN all day or something. Cause it's so fucking weird, bro.
Yeah.
Rachel Maddow's doing her thinking for her.
And like I said, like I mean it. Like I really like the analogy of like treating them like they're trees or like a dog or something like that. So it's like I don't have animosity towards these people. Like I don't fault them. You know, I'm nice to them. I'm, you know, I'll be respectful if they're respectful to me. You know, we can have a conversation or whatever. But I'm not going to pretend like they have a valid perspective on the world. It's just not going to happen.
And the problem is that we might, or they might be animus towards us, because when push comes to shove and the vaxxers and no vaxxers basically get split as like the plan of probably trying to cause some, you know, civil war type thing, or just divide and conquer as the state likes to do, we may have to like defend ourselves from people that, you know, we thought were family, which is sad.
It's insane.
But that like the groupthink and the brainwashing is just so powerful, because people are scared and they can't remain sovereign.
Yeah.
I feel like I never understood like let's just say like Nazi Germany as an example, or just like Venezuela, places that slipped into this kind of stuff until you live through it. And then you're like, no, this makes perfect fucking sense.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous, but it's just like it all lines up and you're like, oh, this is what people do when they are afraid. Like they'll do anything, fucking anything.
Yeah.
Wild. But
so, well, there's that classic,
bullish on Bitcoiners.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin at least.
There's that class, Joseph Goebbels, whatever, it was the propaganda minister. There's that like classic quote from his trial, you know, I forget if he got hung or shot or whatever, but right before he's at the trial, and they're asking
Nuremberg.
And they're asking him all these questions about, you know, how were you able to do this? How are you able to influence? And his answer was you know, you look up the quote. It's much better how it's worded exactly. But his answer is basically, no, we just had to make them scared. Like, you don't understand. Like, all we had to do was make them scared and then provide a solution. You know, doesn't have to.
It
be
also helps to have an other.
Yeah.
To group. Yeah, and that's
Absolutely.
really what they're doing right now, and you can see it live, and you're like, oh my god, the unvaxxed are the Jews. Holy shit! Like, what the fuck?
And it's
yeah, it's crazy.
Sorry.
But I don't know. I'm just still bullish on like freedom-minded people, and I don't know. I'm fleeing California soon, so that's good.
Do it.
Oh shit!
Get
Get
the
the
heck
fuck out
out.
of there.
I know my
Yeah.
my fiance has an amazing lawyer job, and we live in a great place. He came and visited the other weekend, but
It's a good time.
yeah, no, I want to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
I,
They haven't
They're-
closed
got-
the borders yet.
They're close.
oh yeah, no, we're good. I'm gonna like drive up to Idaho
Nice.
and escape probably by the end of the year.
No,
Wait.
move to Texas.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Idaho's way cooler than Texas.
Joe
Are
Dirte
you-
and his fiance
Are
are
you
a couple of
stupid or
winners.
dumb?
No, hey, where were you last week and the week before? Texas LARPs on Liberty. Texas isn't even top 10. It's not even close. Texas is a joke.
So
Go to
Yeah.
New
Bitcoin
Hampshire.
mining country.
Go to
bitch.
Missouri. Go to Tennessee. Go to Arizona. Do I need to keep going?
you know
Like,
where the real Bitcoin mining country is? It's Kazakhstan. That's
Yeah.
where it's really at. They're also the greatest exporters of potassium. But
and Borat lives there, which is dope.
yes, yeah.
good film.
Borat does not live in Texas.
Have you heard their his national anthem thing?
Yes.
He's like, Kazakhstan is the greatest country in the world. All other countries are run by little girls. Something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was just referencing with the potassium.
Yeah,
So-
that movie is fucking ridiculous.
So Young Lurk says in the middle of the summer there's breakouts of new variants completely made up.
I agree.
I don't think so. But I don't think the variants really mean anything. I think if anything it means
Yeah,
like,
they're not made up. I got it.
like
I
the
got Delta early in the
But how
in
is
the
it?
cycle or
How is
whatever.
it different from?
Yeah, I'm
I know
sure
you
that's,
were
like,
telling
what
me
I
a little
got.
bit about that, but how
Or
is
no,
it?
technically. Oh god.
Yeah, it's different. I got because I've had them both. The first COVID was like more body aches and soreness and like a little more lung issues.
Yeah.
This other one was like headaches and serious nasal congestion. Like me and my fiance both couldn't like breathe out of our nose for days and so much runny nose. But it was totally different than the first time.
So on both times, did you lose your sense of smell and taste?
Neither, you know.
Okay.
It wasn't. Both weren't that bad. My fiance had the second. She got hit with Delta a little worse. It like kind of like lingered with her for a while. But for me, it was pretty okay both times. Not a big deal.
that's crazy that you got it twice.
I had OG COVID. I did not have the nasal congestion. And
Well,
headache.
yeah,
Oh, it's
yeah.
cool.
I didn't have it on the first one either. My mom was just a fucking savage, and she like had COVID for sure because her whole office got sick with the exact COVID symptoms, and then she came home and she was just like breathing like really close to my face. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get COVID. It's all good. And then my whole house got sick. But and my aunt lost her smell.
Yeah. I got
So,
COVID
no.
at a big, huge party. I went to a party. Everybody was sharing drinks and finger food and whatever. I never got tested because I didn't want to be on a government list. But 80% of the people at the party roughly got tested and popped positive. So, and I was Tuesday to Saturday of the following week. I felt pretty shitty, but it was pretty much back to normal by Sunday.
Yeah, you don't need to get. I mean, it's pretty obvious when like everyone gets the same fucking shit. Like it's COVID. Like this shit's contagious as a motherfucker.
Yeah.
With that said, I mean, it's all blown out of proportion, and it's more or less like a flu that like fucks up obese people, and everyone's obese. So you know.
Although there was
Where
a
you
really
going, bitch?
there was a really good article. I don't know if you guys follow Bitcoin Fuckboy on Twitter, but
Oh, sorry.
he's leading I'm in the Telegram group. I observe it, but anyway, he's leading a really important endeavor to.
That's a really good article. I don't know if you guys follow
Oh.
Bitcoin Fuckboy on Twitter.
Someone's
But,
replying.
oh, sorry. He's leaving.
But anyway, there was an article about how the new beta variant is causing erectile dysfunction, and anyway, basically they make up a bunch of articles. Like they made up one about the Catholic Church accepting Bitcoin that got a bunch of people upset, and both sides, like Bitcoiners were upset and other people were upset, and so basically they think of an amazing headline, release it, and then write some kind of bullshit article about it, and just
like Onion style.
Yeah,
I love the Onion, bro. I've seen so many of theirs that just crack me up.
But they had one.
Oh wait,
one
okay,
about
so
the
it's
beta,
not
the beta
actually
variant.
causing ET.
No, no. So they made up one that there's a new COVID variant called the beta variant, and what it does is it causes erectile dysfunction.
It makes you
That's
hungry.
fucking hilarious, bro.
It makes you super hungry for lots of soy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're looking up for new names of variants, stars in the galaxy. Why is that even a conversation? They're just trying to have
Reminds me
fun
of my
with
old
being
like physics
authoritarians.
and engineering days, bro. Breaking out all the old, or like sororities. That's all I can think of. Like, soon we're gonna have like Delta Gamma Phi, or who the fuck knows what's coming.
Well, and they're gonna after that they're gonna have to name it like they do airline frequent flyer programs. So they'll be like platinum plus, gold, all that kind of stuff.
Well, they'll start naming the vaccines that
will
have different tiered vaccines for the good people.
Another good Twitter follow, which you guys probably already follow, but Dr. Bitcoin MD, he just retweeted it recently, but maybe 6 months ago, he said something to the effect of how long before people with 3 shots are looking down on people with 2 shots. And at the time it was a joke.
Dude.
And now they're talking about a 3rd booster. And if you only got the first 2, but you didn't get the 3rd booster, then, I don't know, you listen to Alex Jones or whatever. It's just the whole thing is so comical.
It was so funny because we started to see that people's brains breaking when they took the mask mandates away. And they said, like, you can go into the stores if you're without a mask if you're vaccinated.
Yeah.
And people, it broke their ability to virtue signal.
Right.
Because if you were wearing a mask, it meant that you weren't unvaccinated. But at the same time, they're terrified of not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And so I heard a story of somebody freaking out at somebody wearing a mask in the store, going off on them because they weren't vaccinated. But they were vaccinated and they were wearing a mask because they're terrified.
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal.
They're bouncing around responding to stimuli. These are not
mental illness and Bitcoin at an all-time high. Mental illness is already there.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm bearish on central planning, bullish on Bitcoin. The slave revolt. This is one that will win.
All right. Here's the bet. How many days till we break 75K?
Yeah.
Joe, I know you think it's this month, right?
60.
60 days? Fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to decide if this latest round of shit is bullish or bearish for the infrastructure bill.
Yeah.
No, it's bullish.
Right? Like, does that accelerate it? Like,
and it also proves Bitcoin's anti-fragility. How it doesn't give a fuck. Like, you're just sub 46K right now.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's sold off right when the news broke, and then it just like the biggest green dildo afterwards. Like, fuck you. Like, Honey Badger gives 0 fucks. So yeah, maybe it could probably be BitBlock Boom. Like, God, what are we at? What did you say we're at right now?
46 and some change, basically.
45.9.
Dude, 75K could happen so fast. That's like one good weekend. Yeah, let's just say BitBlock Boom. Fuck it.
All right. We'll hit 75K before the end of BitBlock Boom. Guaranteed.
All right.
Unless it doesn't happen, then it's not guaranteed.
I'm going to be ultra conservative and say 60 is minimum.
Seems for any normal person in the world, that'd be really bullish. So yeah. It sounds about right.
No, any person in the world doesn't think it's going to hit 6 figures this year. I mean, any normie.
Anything under previous all-time high by the end of the month makes you a gender fluid.
It's
still a bull to a lot of people.
Yeah.
What have we been talking about? The mob doesn't matter. Who cares about a lot of people?
So I've been trying to get my mom to buy Bitcoin forever. And then she finally bought MicroStrategies on the dip and is up like 50, 60% in a few weeks. And she's like,
when was the dip? What are you talking about?
It got to like 480, or she bought it around like 490, and it's already up to like 770.
It's better than
Just
I'm
nothing.
sorry. That's $170 or $490.
yeah,
Fair.
so 470 up to like 770. So what is that? Like 70% gain in like 2 months. Anyway, she's like never had an investment do this, so she's like trying to figure out how to sell, and I'm like, no, you don't get it. Like this, like we're not even close to done. Like I worked so hard to get you to finally buy Bitcoin, and you're gonna sell with 100% gain? Fuck off.
It's not even Bitcoin.
Yeah.
No, I know. I couldn't get her to buy Bitcoin. I tried forever. Like my dad has a quarter Bitcoin that's just in cold storage. That's okay.
That's
but,
pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the best I can do is get her to stack MicroStrategy, and she controls the purse strings of the family. So beta male shit.
That's a mistake.
Do you guys want some more beta male shit tonight? Should we do some TA up in here?
Yeah.
Moon soon.
Hey man, it's not
Do you guys
beta.
think we're gonna see the cock and balls
If we got
pattern?
Dylan LeClaire in here, it's not beta.
Do you guys think we'll see the cock and balls pattern though?
Most,
Like where
no,
it-
just
so
balls,
that-
bro.
The cock and balls is where it dips a little, comes back up, dips a little, comes back up, and then just fucking blow off top. We've had a couple of those recently, so I think we're definitely headed into a cock and balls.
So, Skeef, are you officially a miner now? Is that official?
I don't know.
You're
I don't know what Bitcoin mining is. I've heard it might be illegal at some point.
Fact.
Dude,
Just kidding.
I have
Fuck
to get a
that shit.
pro trading view account to look at Bitcoin by the second. We got the minute.
Yeah.
We got the minute chart up. Looking a little bit
How else are
bearish.
you gonna?
Is this on the screen share?
No.
No, we're just looking at it. Okay.
I don't know if I can screen share.
Oh, I don't. I was just curious.
I have to go through a bunch of settings. Cock and balls is in play.
Yeah.
Young Lurk.
So is this
What-
supposed
what
to
it
be
tends
like
to do is it
a
trends up for a
weekly
while.
thing,
Yeah, we do this
or is
every
this
Monday.
just like random?
Yeah, we
Oh,
do
okay,
it. We do
cool.
it every Monday evening.
Every Monday at 5:30.
Today was a special occasion though, because we went out in the desert and shot guns beforehand, so that was good.
Drank some Topo Chico,
Some Topo Chico, it's true.
and then
Sponsor of the pod. They're,
dirtbags. Topo
we have
Chico.
we have an imaginary contract with them for $1 million an episode.
And if they sue us, we can just say that we identified with having a contract with them.
It's true. I identified as a
Contracted person.
as somebody who is contracted by Topo Chico.
We don't have any funny slogans for them yet.
No. Let's see what. So Dirtbags Bar, that's the best place in Southern Arizona to meet your future ex-wife. Topo Chico. Yeah, I don't know. We might have to think about that one a little bit.
A little bit better than LaCroix. A lot better than LaCroix.
Let me send it to you. So yeah, Lurk is saying need a dirtbag sign. Let me send you on Signal the. So I took a picture. It's and that's a real bar in Tucson, by the way, just so everybody's on the same page. I took a picture of it the other day.
Just Google image or DuckDuckGo image. Dirtbags Bar Tucson.
Oh wait.
Oh,
Or
he's saying we need one.
at here.
Maybe I should put it presented by Dirtbags somewhere on the screen.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of funny.
Would it be ghetto as hell if I held this up to the camera so that they could see it at least?
No, but you'd have to kind of go close to it.
Okay.
Go for it. Yeah, I can see it. There you go. You got the phone number. Dirtbags Bar.
So head on down there. Just crawling. That's right by the university. So it's just absolutely crawling with a bunch of woke 21-year-olds that'll tell you everything that needs to be fixed about the world. Despite having accomplished exactly zero.
Yo, did you guys see what DeSantis did today?
I did not.
Florida guy. Pretty gangster. He said he's going to withhold paychecks of any school district that has mask mandates.
Thank God.
Hilarious.
That is a baller ass move.
I don't think if people can pull it off. I'm not a parent, so I kind of just my opinion doesn't matter here, but I think people should try their best to get their kids out of public school
Yes.
as much as possible. But I just get so upset with the idea of just abusing these kids.
Yeah.
Dude, there's no chance I'm putting my kids in public school.
Yeah. I
0% chance.
am a parent and I co-sign that. Like I had so I did in Miami Underground Citadel, I did a presentation on Bitcoiners raising sovereign individuals. And somebody came up to me afterward and, basically they said, my spouse and I, we both, work full time. How do we do that in homeschool? Like how do you prioritize things? Like how do you make it work? And I said, I have no idea. I don't know how you do. I don't know how two people working full time. What I told them was like, I start from the position of, I start from a point of here's the environment I want my kids to grow up in, and public school has nothing to do with that, and then work backward from there, as opposed to I have, and it's, I don't know, it's a very difficult problem to solve. It's absolutely not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know. Like I just think as much as possible, like it's important to start from a position of, I'm blessed with these just amazing little humans that I get to party with for a couple of decades, and then before they go off on their own, and starting from the position of what's the environment that I want to create for them, and then work backwards to, okay, what does my work look like in that context? What does my lifestyle look like in that those kinds of things. That's my rant about it.
I think this is where networking is helpful too. There's a group of people in Tucson that just recently started their own private school. It's all about sovereignty.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a religious school, but yeah, I mean they saw what was happening in the public schools, and this should have happened so much longer ago because the Tucson schools are just so garbage. But yeah. And that's actually probably a good thing that Tucson schools are garbage, because it pushes people to.
And even the quote unquote really, really good schools, where half the class goes to Harvard or whatever, like even those are absolute hot garbage as far as creating worthwhile humans that are going to do something important in the world. I mean, we need another management consultant. Like we need another fucking banker. We need another, but it's just like, it's madness.
I feel like China's pretty balls deep in a lot of upper level academia, and it's helping spread. I don't know. I feel like.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Dude.
So even those top schools, like, yeah, they might go to like Cambridge or Harvard or whatever, but even if they go there, they're going to get indoctrinated. Like I wouldn't even risk like my kids getting indoctrinated by that horseshit.
Yeah.
Because
I
don't know.
Croesus BTC, Why the Uppy Elite Misses Bitcoin.
That's a good one.
Fantastic read.
That was fantastic.
Get the Ron Paul curriculum, motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's good. I just signed up for another year. Doing three classes with Ron Paul.
I might just take the Ron Paul homeschool just to kind of heal through my childhood in public school.
The like high school.
Take it for yourself.
Treat my inner child.
But like seriously, so it's $50 a year for a class. It's not, and it's not a bad idea at all. Like especially like if you're trying to learn like some history or whatever, because there's no textbooks. It's all, it's not reading some bureaucrat's interpretation of history. It's reading biographies and autobiographies, and like it's the potential that kids have when it's just when you just step back a little and just not try to control them every second of the day. Like it's unbelievable. Like my older son did most of the teaching to read for my younger son. They're only a couple of years apart. They're just reading books together. Like he did significantly more of it than I did. And my younger kid, I'm not gonna say how old, but he's many 3, 4, 5 years ahead of any most basically any kid his age, reading like all kinds of different stuff. And it's not because they've got Stephen Hawking genetics or anything like that. They definitely do not, because they're mine. But it's
I mean,
it's
I
just
hope they don't end up in a wheelchair.
okay. God, Jesus Christ. Yeah, no. I was thinking in terms of oh,
I know.
nice. No, we're looking at the Twitter feed.
I was
People
hoping
are
that we had
saying
some
nice things.
controversy stirred up.
But I mean, it's just crazy. But it's the same thing that we learn from, that we learn as Bitcoiners. It's just that like people, when you just let people live their life and figure things out, like it's pretty incredible what people can come up with when they don't have, somebody forcing them to take a poison shot in their arm and think this, don't think that, say this, don't say that, read this. It's like that's humans. We're
I feel
not
like
made to be
it'll
controlled
be
like that.
super. I feel like it'll be super valuable to teach your kids like the value of a Satoshi, because my parents like never taught me anything with like finance or made me even like care about money, and I feel like that really set me back. So like, and then that was, even if they would have just taught me like fiat money, that would have helped. But if you can really get them like to figure out like the value of a Satoshi, like have them make a lemonade stand and turn it into Bitcoin and watch it grow, like it work wonders.
Make them read Rich Dad Poor Dad and just charge stats for their lemonade.
I listened to that book when I was probably like 14 or 15. It definitely helped me understand like, oh shit.
Dude, I didn't listen to that until like 3 months ago.
Robert Kiyosaki is like a questionable guy, but
I'll give you
that's a pretty good book.
A book I think is even significantly better than Rich Dad Poor Dad is look up a book called Family Fortunes by a guy named Bill Bonner and his son. And so like Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then there's another book, The Millionaire Next Door, that's kind of very, very similar mindset. And in my opinion, that's like, I don't know, like a nice way to say it. Like it's much better. It's far better than what basically anyone else does. But the Family Fortunes approach, so like Rich Dad Poor Dad is, it gives you very, very good ideas about how to make money, how to build wealth, how to be wealthy. And Family Fortunes, it takes a totally different approach. It's definitely than Millionaire Next Door. So like Millionaire Next Door is, you don't let kids know you're wealthy. You just raise them to, have humble expectations and whatever. And like the Family Fortunes approach is, no, like what we're trying to build is a generational fortune across very long periods of time, ideally hundreds of years. And it's like this idea of like, you want to bring kids into that as early as possible. And so like something I do is, for years we've been having conversations about, what are we doing here? Like, what are we trying to build? Like, what are we working on? We're not, we talk about Bitcoin all the time. Bitcoin's going to make a whole bunch of people rich. It's going to make people wealthy. It's going to make a lot of money. And I said, but what are we trying to do here? And it's like really like starting the conversation with them very, very early, like, 4 or 5 years old is plenty early enough. We're not here to buy shiny stuff. Like we're not here to, impress other people. We don't care what other people think. Like, we're for a while up in the Pacific Northwest, we're the only people not wearing masks. Everybody's giving us dirty looks. We don't care about that. We don't concern ourselves with, these people that just do not matter. But just like that, anyway, that book is very, very good. And it's like that approach of like bringing kids into it and building a family business and like talking to them about like what does family money look like? What is it used for? And they've got tons of rules, like family money never goes to lifestyles. It only goes to investments. Like, if you want to go build a business, family money is for that. If you want to buy a car, figure it out.
That's so dope. I didn't get any of that.
What was that book? The Millionaire Next Door. And
no. The one you want to read is Family Fortunes. I think it's 100 times better than the other two.
Who wrote that?
Bill Bonner and his Bonner. And I guess he's a big deal in like publishing, or I was telling somebody about it at the barbecue a couple weeks ago. And he was like, oh yeah, I know that guy. He does publishing. I don't know, some kind of publishing, but I don't know what their business is, but that's not what the book's about at all. It's just he's probably, if he's not a billionaire, he's damn close to it and built it all himself. And so it's like him, just kind of his like lessons of getting there, you know.
So does it require starting a family?
I personally am not aware of a worthwhile, like really, really meaningful life path that doesn't involve a family. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I'm not aware of it. And I think that's how we, you know, like extend our, I don't know, our ability and our time on this earth.
Legacy.
Yeah. And it's not like, oh, he looks like me. That's cool. But it's, you know, because I'm a huge fan of adoption, you know, everything. And I don't know. Like, yeah, like I personally, like I know lots of people, you know, are really, really deeply understand Bitcoin and value it and don't have kids. And I respect that. I just don't understand it. I don't know, would be my 2 cents.
I respect that you respect that.
Bitcoin is making me a lot more bullish on the idea of having kids. It's a world I'd want to bring kids into.
Absolutely.
Versus CBDC panopticon land. But yeah, man, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, good rip.
Yeah. Kind of wrapping up. We got Max Kaiser coming August 19th to Phoenix. It's going to be fun. We're working on, I don't remember what it was. It might be Lolly's birthday. They're giving us more throw a party. I don't remember what the date was for, but that's coming up soon.
Woo!
We might have a cool speaker coming at the end of the month up to Phoenix. Everybody's going to Phoenix.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. We need to get some people down to Tucson. Starting a meetup in Sierra Vista, Arizona, and that's going to be on the 29th. I'm super bullish on that. That's like defense contractor land. That entire Tucson's pretty bad, but Sierra Vista, that's the entire existence of the town is war. So I think Bitcoin is going to be, you know, growing there. There's a lot of dissatisfied people in the military right now that probably need a little sanity, hanging out with some people that aren't maniacs. But that's cool. I'm trying to think of anything else I have to announce.
I'll still be in Texas on the 29th for BitBlock Boom, but I will be going to every single Sierra Vista meetup for sure, because those, I think tons and tons of those people are accessible and would be huge assets to what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's Tucson. You're not going to be at BitBlock Boom, are you?
No, I won't.
But I'll be at BitDevs the 19th, the hackathon that weekend, and then BitBlock Boom. So if you hear this and mention it, I'll buy you a beer or something like that. I already have that offer out to Don. Don and I are getting a beer at BitBlock.
I think we lost Don. Young Lurk's been hanging on there this whole time. Bullish on Young Lurk. And Phil, you've been here too.
Yeah. Bud Tugley. I know who Bud Tugley is.
It's a great name.
Good buddy of mine.
It's a great name. Anything else? Shout outs? Shout out to Peter McCormick.
Shout out to Peter McCormick for embracing diversity and really advancing the progressive agenda.
Peter just loves to stir the pot. I feel like that's what he's doing.
And that's, I do my best to give him the benefit of the doubt, but Jesus, he just annoys the shit out of me all the time.
Okay. Like, I don't have a big beef with him. I think it's hilarious what he does, and I think it's unintentional.
Yeah.
I think he's mostly sincere, and he wants to ask questions and just put knowledge out there. But I'm just curious, what about him rubs y'all the wrong way?
No, I genuinely like Peter for the most part.
I don't. I find him incredibly annoying.
If I ever see him,
but isn't that part of the gimmick?
Yeah. I don't like his gimmick. I don't like what he does. He annoys the shit out of me. But it's fine. I don't want to stop him.
It's not like insincere though. I mean, yes, he's smarter than he like puts himself out there to be, but his show isn't about look at me, I'm Peter, I'm showing off how much I know and learned about Bitcoin. It's like,
but it's just,
keeping it at like a lower common denominator, but also, not appeasing to like retards.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, just like a good middle ground.
For me,
I think there's a reason why like he gets so much reach.
Yeah. For me, it's just a freedom of association thing. Like I don't want to shut him down. I don't want him to get banned. I want him to be able to say whatever he wants to say. I just don't want to interact with it. Like there's lots of people I don't think he's evil or anything like that. I just have no interest in. I don't know. He just annoys the shit out of me. Lots of people annoy me. I'm a kind of disagreeable person sometimes.
I like him, but he's kind of done some things recently that have rubbed me the wrong way. So, but,
Like what?
Like having Voorhees on and talking about bullshit. Well, I should watch. No, I don't know why I said that. There's no fucking way I'm watching that episode.
I mean, he wasn't really shilling any shit coins on there for the most part. He did talk about like Uniswap and Thorchain. Well, actually,
Yeah, dude, it was like, I mean, Peter was kind of throwing him hard questions. Like, okay, dude, how is this actually gonna fucking work?
Dude,
without a token.
No, I want him to be able to do absolutely whatever he wants to do. I just don't. I just want as little participation in it as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Good thing there's plenty of Bitcoin podcasts out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's quite a few.
TFTC ride or die.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. Why is everybody calling Matt a spook? Should probably stop.
I don't know. I forget. Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever. Or spooks.
I had that
because it was always a joke at the New York meetup when they would meet in bars, and I think Matt was the one that like started it or brought it up because he'd be like, "Yo, okay, who's the spook?" Because I think it was because he was surprised with how many people actually came out to the meetups at the time. And then he's like, all right, which one of you is a spook? This is too good to be true. And then they were like, the person that asked the question is the one who's the spook, Matt. But I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. If anybody tries to get you to kidnap the governor or tries to buy some sawed-off shotgun barrels from you, they're probably a spook.
Yeah.
The one that there's a guy
or blow up a federal building in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
That was also the same people.
Yeah.
Timothy McVeigh acted alone. Go fuck yourself.
Or there's that
barely involved.
There's that like autistic Muslim guy that got cut up with the FBI gave him a fake bomb. They like radicalized him and gave him a fake bomb to go, and then they arrested him. It was insane.
That's what people don't realize. These people are absolute fucking psychopaths. Like these are completely indistinguishable from the people that ran gulags 70 years ago. I mean, or concentration camps or whatever. Like there are people all throughout the FBI and the CIA who are morally indistinguishable from gulag operators and Nazi work. I mean, they're war criminals today. Like it's.
I saw that one CIA
depleted uranium is a war crime.
What?
Depleted uranium is a war crime. Yeah, that's
like
a good
Ruby
point.
Ridge.
It's an anti-flag song.
Oh,
an Antifa song. Oh, they have songs now.
Anti-flag.
Oh, anti-flag. Okay.
Good punk rock.
I mean, they're probably part of Antifa too. They're anarcho-communist little pussy cucks.
Dude. Yeah. There's been so many disappointing bands recently. Rage Against the Machine. Offspring drummer, like
E6.
The Offspring drummer had to quit the band because he couldn't get the vaccine for like a real medical situation. The band said,
"Wait, really?
Yeah."
Oh my God.
I thought he just thought the whole thing was bullshit.
Well, there might have been, or they might have had him like wear a mask everywhere. I can't remember what it was, but regardless.
What's that?
I don't know.
But yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Punk rock's not punk rock, but yeah. We're punk rock. If we're ever not.
Bitcoin is punk rock. Does anybody know of a podcast episode called that? That was Phil's episode on Tucson Bitcoin.
You're goddamn right. Wait, was that one of my episodes?
Yeah, that was when you went on Tucson Bitcoin podcast.
Okay, that's what I thought.
The title of it was Bitcoin is punk
Okay.
rock.
I guess like last question, closing out. Phil, when's the acoustic version of your song coming out?
Oh, dude, I have it. I don't know when I want to release it. I feel like I should do some like
On the
better
stage at
marketing
Bit
prep
Block
before.
Boom.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Dude, Katie, like the Russian, is so sweet.
Yes.
I showed her my song, and when she was at one of the bit devs a couple months ago, we went out to dinner. Quite a few people went. Like Nick Carter showed up later, but she ended up playing my song on the PA in the restaurant.
No way.
And she was like blasting like episodes of TFUC, and people were just like sitting there eating. Like the place was packed. Like no one really knew, but she was just like playing that shit on PA. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Young Lurk is suggesting you drop the song at 69,420.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god, that's
a
like
good idea.
tomorrow. I'm not ready.
We'll see. I hope it hits 7,500 before Max Kaiser comes. We've kind of like
1,000.
lined up our events in Arizona with big price. The first Phoenix meetup was at the day it hit 50K, which was pretty dope.
Yeah. And it's just, and
That is really rad.
price stuff I think is just so fun to watch. You know, it's like I said before, obviously don't trade, obviously don't use any leverage. Like, nothing's moving for a decade or more. So it's like, I don't know. It's just like a fun thing to watch. It's a good time. It's like, I buy when I get dollars, no matter what the price is, like fucking DCA. No, I don't DCA. I blow the whole load as soon as it comes in.
Yeah. I kind of want to like sell a little this cycle and then sell that same amount a little the next cycle.
Pussy.
Just because life is too short. But then again, like,
No, you don't need to sell shit.
I don't know.
What are you gonna buy? Fucking,
Time.
No, just get a
Time.
No, here's what you need to do. Whatever you're gonna buy, get a bullshit fiat credit card, buy it on that. No, I'm just kidding.
I actually like my new job. It's
Good.
it's what?
Did you get that mining job?
I said good.
No, it's a fiat job. I deal with debt. I deal with debt resolution, but it's so cool because we basically tell these people that are in a shit ton of credit card debt, say fuck off to the creditors, stop paying them, and pay into an FDIC insured escrow account, and we negotiate on their behalf, and they end up paying their principal in like half the amount of time, and they get out of debt faster.
That's
and I get to make commission off that. And there's a shit ton of fuckers in debt because of COVID. So,
do they frown on you telling them to walk away and buy Bitcoin?
Dude, I want to integrate Bitcoin into this business model. I think there's a use case for that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what if we took their money and fuck the FDIC insured account, we buy Bitcoin with that money and put it into multi-sig with them. And as Bitcoin moons in price, then we can just expedite when we need to pay the creditors faster. And maybe we can like charge more of a premium because we get like a percentage of the entire like account that they pay into. But I don't know. I think there's a way to.
That sounds like a big pile
Bitcoin
of securities violations.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck them.
Well,
Tell that to Eric Voorhees.
just yeah.
He's got some good buddies over at the SEC.
Fuck the state in every way that you can that doesn't involve going in a cage. Do not go in a cage. Do not do anything that'll put you in a cage.
What if I like the cage?
Yeah, well, then go for it. I don't know.
Manson likes the cage.
Yeah.
But he wasn't really.
Dude, I low-key met Voorhees in Miami and talked to him for like 10 minutes.
You did?
He's pretty nice, like soft-spoken dude.
Yeah.
But
oh, and I like to be clear. Like I think he's wrong. I don't think he's evil.
yeah,
That's my like basic kind of thing. I think he has some really, really absolutely retarded ideas that he just has always had.
It's just so crazy how hung up on like crypto and tokenization he is. It's like that can happen on Bitcoin. Like you've got fuck you money, like invest in Lightning development or some shit. Build what you want to build on Lightning. It's happening.
Send it.
Yep.
Sent it. That was funny. He was wearing a white T-shirt with a unicorn on it, with like rainbow shit come out of his butt or something, and it had like pink spray paint and his name Eric in cursive. It was like, I don't know, mad respect.
That's such an Ethereum thing to do.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. That just screams at you.
And it's and like I said, I think he is wrong but not evil. But that doesn't mean I think he has caused an unbelievable amount of harm in the world, and you know he'll have to reckon with that.
How
someday.
how so? If he wants
how many
to
people,
allow
how many people have gone poor using this stuff? I mean, it's like they're obviously complicit, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, to be, you know, it's very different to say I acknowledge that there are scams out there and I see them. It's very different, you know, because it's like I can see there's all these shit coins, 100% of them are scams. That kind of, you know, I can acknowledge that, but to be a part of it and promote it and make money off of it is a totally, you know, it's morally, I think that's a completely different thing, and I think he has a ton of complicity in promoting and you know scams that just absolutely fuck over normal people.
Dude, yeah, he recently was just promoting a yield farming shitcoin token on the Shapeshift platform that was supposedly having 720% APY.
Oh
So-
yeah, we saw.
Yeah, so
It's just like,
Yeah, dude, like
that's so dumb.
honestly that's not a problem if it's built on Bitcoin. As shitty as that sounds. At least
Dude,
like they're trying
if
and not
they're-
shitcoin.
No, but this is the thing, though, is they're going to start building shit coins on Bitcoin. They're going to start building all these dumb projects on Bitcoin eventually. And I think we just have the same attitude about it. If somebody's building on Bitcoin, that doesn't solve everything. It's, you know, it's a lot better than building on Ethereum, which is just a total train wreck, or any of these other, you know, centralized shit coins. But they can still build stupid stuff on Bitcoin. And like this is
Yeah.
like brought up with
That
like,
still is true, but that won't happen as much because Bitcoin's incentives align in a way that they actually create solutions to solve a problem. They don't create solutions in search of a problem.
yeah. I mean, we'll see. I think things are going to change a lot in the future. And
What? No,
you never know. Maybe it'll be the same. Probably not.
I was
though.
kidding.
No, I know.
I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I
Hey,
just
is there a podcast version of this show, or do you just live stream?
yeah,
Yeah, it goes on YouTube and I don't know.
I'll get the audio up. It goes out everywhere. Spotify, Apple, all the deals, and I'll have that up either tomorrow or Wednesday. I should just start consistently doing it on Tuesdays, but you'll probably be the only person listening to it.
I mean, I was on it. Why do I need to listen to it?
Yeah.
Oh, why were
I'm
you?
just kidding.
No.
I mean, I don't know. I cringe every time I listen to myself on podcasts, except one I did with you. I was very impressed with how poised and chill and articulate you made me get in. You just made me get in that sweet vibe, Tucson. So
Oh, thanks,
I don't know.
man. You killed it.
I thought that was a very productive conversation as well. Like anyone that's like needed a Bitcoin or something, or just getting that liberty mentality and like why. And I think we were able to just like dish out very matter of fact, practical, like this is what happens, this is why we do this, you know, verb is what you do, but for Bitcoin.
Yeah. I had fun. I think it's an important question to have, or conversation to have. It's something that, yeah, I think like we just have something that's so good, and it's so easy to just get down the wormhole and kind of forget about all the other people out there. And I try to stand somewhere in the middle and get out there to help those liberty people that, if not for maybe somebody talking to them about Bitcoin, would be buying Ethereum or Tron or whatever bullshit token. But yeah, I think my dog's freaking out for some reason. I think you got anything else, Chief?
Nothing for me.
We tried to close, but we kept on going. I think that's it.
That's what she said.
Thanks for everybody dropping in tonight. This is a blast.
Yeah.
We're gonna win this one.
I think so. We're doing good.
We will not lose.
We got the most important tool.
And if we lose, we're gonna go out with a bang. But yeah, that's it.
You will not divide us.
You will not divide us.